Damian Groves is a professional cyclist from Stoke-on-Trent who suffered, well, I'd call it a pretty deep misfortune, but he managed to rectify the situation. And it's just nice occasionally to have an uplifting and positive story on GBNews and elsewhere. And Damian joins me in the studio now. Welcome to the programme.
Yeah.
So the story, as I understand it, is you had bicycles in your shed valued at 36 grand.
Yeah.
How the bloomin' hell can a bicycle cost? What, was it 3 bikes?
Four
Okay.
total. It's just the way it is now. Like as with all sports, it's grown. Bikes more expensive than ever. They range from £500 to £15,000 if you, depending on where you're at. Yeah.
Crikey, Riley. I honestly had no idea they cost this much. So what happens, Damien? You wake up one morning and they're gone?
Wake up to a phone call. We were actually away competing, so I woke up to a phone call to say they'd been stolen. It's the usual thing, police came out, went forward from there. Not a lot happened. Probably 3-4 weeks went by and I just couldn't let it go, so I hired a private investigator myself.
OK.
And to be honest, we didn't get a great deal of success there at first, as good as the guys at Fort Brave are. And then somebody on Instagram messaged me a link saying, I think I've seen your bikes for sale on this Polish website. So I gave this information to the police and my private investigator. And the PI just acted much faster. But also at the same time, the police, I was passed back and forth between Staffordshire and Leicestershire police, because one said they couldn't act without the other and all this sort of tape. And eventually it amounted to, they said that my evidence that the PI had given was...
The private investigator
had given was circumstantial, so they closed the case. Even though it was the PCOs that were dealing with me, even they agreed it was blindingly obvious.
So the police are out, they've done their bit as they see it, but you don't give up?
No. I met with... me and my private investigator then had a chat about what next, if anything. And we just agreed that the last chance saloon was sort of confront this individual via like the channels of contact we'd established and just say, give us the bikes back or we're going to the police, obviously sort of calling his bluff, banking on he didn't know. And it came good, really, but the downside to that was the bikes were already in Poland. So I was given this choice then. I'd either got to wait a week for them to come back from Poland or pay for some professionals to collect them in Poland. So I didn't want to let it fester and maybe let this guy think about how to get out of it. So I agreed to the guys in Poland doing the collection. And then... Had
somebody in Poland purchased the bikes?
See, so we think, there was a bit of conversation with the seller. He obviously wasn't aware. And the advert seemed to come down quickly and he was like, oh no, they sold now. So we felt that time was of the essence as well. So it was very much like, act now, get them back. And then once they'd actually been handed back, it was bizarre, because all of a sudden it's like, yes, I've got my bikes, they're with somebody I trust. And then very quickly it was like, how do we get them home from Poland?
Yeah.
And it just, as bizarre as it sounds, it was quickest, most efficient and cheapest to drive there. So
we've got some pictures of all of this going on, I think we're going to show on the screen. So in the end, they were transported back by van, or...?
In the end, me and my friend drove to the middle of Poland, signed some paperwork, did a collection and drove straight back.
No aggro, no difficulties?
Nothing whatsoever.
Because the people knew they were stolen?
The people that knew they were stolen had handed them to my...
Yeah.
I don't know, you wouldn't call them employees, but the guys that I'd hired.
I wonder how many people who suffer from, a serious burglary actually get their goods back. I bet it, as a percentage, it's not that many. What did all of this cost you?
5,900 and something pounds, pretty much 6,000.
So 6,000 quid to get your bikes back?
Yeah, £6,000.
Were the bikes insured?
2, I thought were insured, but my insurance company weren't going to honour that because they came to me via a sponsor, and in the small print, I didn't realise until this point that anything gifted via a sponsor, insurance companies deem as the sponsor's responsibility to replace.
But I'm guessing given the level of bike theft and the ease of bike theft, and I don't know the answer to this, I'm guessing bike insurance for very high-end bikes is going to be very expensive.
It's going to go up massively because it's just been a massive business this year. You know, we compete still, and every weekend more and more expensive bikes go missing and people are left paying for bikes they don't own anymore.
And the insurance premiums go up.
Insurance premiums go up. Sometimes they pay out, I'm guessing, sometimes they don't.
Well, your story's ended well, but it still cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Perhaps you're incredibly well off, Damian, I don't know.
Not at all. I'm a working class man. It's all on a credit card.
This has come a bit all on the credit card.
Yeah.
Let's just sort of think a little bit about the role of the police in this. You had good intelligence that the stolen bikes were somewhere in the next county of Leicestershire. Clearly that was very good intelligence.
Yeah.
And the police didn't have the resources, didn't have the time, couldn't be bothered. Where do we sit with this?
I don't think it's that they couldn't be bothered. I think that the person who was asked to issue a warrant at Leicester Police probably opened an email, saw stolen mountain bikes, matching fence panels, and just said, we haven't got time for this, and closed it. Didn't look at the finer details, didn't give it the time it deserved, and just shut the case on me. Both the PCOs in Staffs and Leicester both agreed this was solid evidence that warranted an emergency warrant.
How does that leave you feeling about the police, Damian?
Frustrated, to say the least. I really wasn't happy when I phoned my PCO back and said, like, you know, you're leaving me no choice other than... I feel like going home and... To be blunt, I actually said to him, I feel like going home and putting my head in the oven over it, but you're leaving me no choice. I can't. I'm going to have to do something myself, which was never going to be anything like, other than what I did, really.
But you went to Poland.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you were going to confront. You might have walked into a violent or dangerous situation.
I was confident that I wasn't, but yeah, there's potential for that. But like I say, the company that I worked with, Fort Brave, I put my utmost trust in them, and they were adamant that I was going into a safe situation to get it back.
Now that you've done all of this, gone to this effort and used your nous, and well done you for doing it, have you written back to the police to say, look, if I was able to recover these bikes, why couldn't you?
I've had a lengthy conversation with...
Have you?
I forget his rank now, but with a higher officer at Staffs Police. And he basically just said it's red tape. The system doesn't allow the officer on the ground to just be like, yep, that's solid, go and do this. They have to then present a case and jump through all these hoops before they've got permission to act.
I mean, I try on this programme, Damian, to be as pro-police as I can, because I think they've got a rotten blooming job. And I don't agree with everything they do. I just wonder in this case, it could well be that they have so many thefts to deal with. So many home thefts to deal with, bike thefts to deal with, let alone, you know, what's happening with drugs gangs in Stoke-on-Trent or violence, or maybe they're just overwhelmed.
I think they're overworked and underpaid, to be blunt.
Do you really?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. My partner, she was a police officer.
There's frustration, but there's no bitterness.
My bitterness and frustration is with the system that they have to adhere to. But that doesn't change the fact that they are... Like I say, my partner was a police officer until about 18 months ago. I can vouch for how overworked and underpaid she was firsthand. And she didn't stick it. So.
I have to say, in many ways, Damian Groves, it's an inspiring story. Would you recommend to other people who've suffered serious theft hiring a private investigator?
Yeah, 100%. If you... Yeah, I'd do it all again.
Well, you've done it once successfully. I hope you never have to do it again.
Yeah, me too.
But thank you for coming on and sharing the story. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Well, there we are. There is some good news out there. He managed to get 36 grand's worth of bikes back, and well done him. It cost him a couple of bob.